to your YouTube Partner Sales 30-second non-skip and YouTube Ad Pods workshop. We are just thrilled to have you here. So I want to say hello to all of our partners in the Americas, our friends in EMEA, and even our partners in APAC who are also joining us. So we definitely appreciate your time. My name is Mantoni Bird. I am the YouTube Partner Sales Global Product Solutions Lead.
And I'm Chelsea from the Partner Sales Enablement team.
And today we have for you a ton of great content. I'll kick us off and just help you understand the agenda for today. So one, we'll give you a bit of background and really why are we here. And then also you'll see throughout, we'll cover a product overview for each product, the value proposition, also the campaign setup inside of Ad Manager, and we'll dig into reporting and forecasting. But aside from all these pretty slides we put together, we really want to use this time, and we've set aside 15 minutes or even more of just hearing your questions and answers. So we want to hear directly from you. So one, definitely submit the poll that should pop up here. And then throughout, please add your questions because we want to use this time just for you. Now, first, I really want to dig into the why are we here, right? So first and foremost, thank you for being a beta partner. So the real purpose of this is you have worked with us throughout the past few quarters on testing two very critical products for the business. Whether it be you've been a partner in the YouTube Ad Pods beta or the 30-second non-skip. Betas give you access to a product that is not ready for GA just yet, but we really want to work with you to unpack that and unpack learnings to shape that product. That's exactly what you've done. Now, the goal for this session specifically, there are products that we want to introduce here, updates, and we want to make sure you have a deeper understanding of those. And then more than anything, we want to make sure as an outcome, you can really lean into these products, activate them in market, and continue to drive feedback to us to shape these experiences. Now, again, when we think about, you've heard us mention closed beta, what does that mean? Really the goal of testing this beta. Now, throughout this presentation, you will hear us talk about specific challenges you've outlined to us and really how you've shaped now these products for the market. So a few examples stand out for me. From forecasting, you've mentioned forecasting support for 30-second non-skip ads. You will hear us talk about actually an update that will actually better account for forecasting for 30s, along with updating forecasting for more updates for podding experiences as well. You'll hear us talk about sponsorships. Look, we know sponsorships is a premium offering, and we know it helps set you aside to drive higher CPMs. Now with sponsorships, you will hear us talk about challenges many of you faced in the pods beta to support sponsorships. You will hear us talk about a new update to help you there. And then from a reporting standpoint, you give us feedback all the time around what are new metrics? What are some ways you can build reporting to unpack opportunities for us? You will hear us talk about new updates for pods and reporting. Now, the first product here is, honestly, you all, it's become a bit of a baby. It's one in which take a ton of pride in for our team. It's our 30-second non-skip product on Living Room. The history of 30s, like we know from an industry perspective, 30-second non-skip ads have been on the linear experiences for some time now. For you in this offering, essentially it unlocks that ability for you to serve 30-second non-skip ads on the Living Room experiences, right? With that update, it's a CTV-only experience. It's allowing brands looking to really showcase an extended storytelling experience, and it's directly available to you now globally for all of our partners using Google Ad Manager. Now, when we talk about an unpacked 30s, I do want to remember a few things for you. One, what is it? 30-second non-skip format on Living Room. When do we serve them? Where are they allowed, right? 30 seconds serves today on content 18 minutes or more on the Living Room experience. And a new update too, we've resolved some challenges where in the beta you gave us feedback around podding. Well, 30-second non-skips now serve alone in a pod. So that is a new update as well. Now, when we talk about the value proposition, like I think you know even more than me because we've heard your feedback. When we think about how you've already been taking this format to market, right? So from a YouTube perspective, we know this is premium inventory. That 30-second non-skip Living Room experience on the Living Room experience. We know today, YouTube is the fastest growing Living Room platform, #1 on the Living Room. This premium placement allows you to also lean into and become a part of that party, right? Selling and shifting that 30-second non-skip format directly onto your YouTube inventory. And really the goal, again, is this is a long form placement directly on YouTube. So for your advertisers, your partners, when you're communicating and they're looking for building that awareness above the funnel experiences, this is one way in which you can use this format for packaging. And really the goal, what we've seen and heard from partners in the market as they tested this, is really being able to price this at a premium CPM. Very similar to what we've seen with traditional linear experiences, but but now you can unpack that and drop higher CPMs and directly on your YouTube inventory.
Thanks, Mantoni. Now we're going to get into how to utilize and run 30-second non-skips within GAM. As Mantoni mentioned, we have newly improved forecasting. So those who have been on the beta for some time now know that we previously needed to have you add in CTV targeting when you're running the check inventory. We're happy to announce that's no longer needed. Forecasting is now aware that when you create a campaign that's for 480 by 360 with the duration of 30 seconds, that is for a 30-second non-skip on CTV only. In addition, on the line item level, we now have a skippable dropdown, and for this format, you're going to select disabled. This then further enables you to run 30-second non-skip seamlessly. Similarly, on the line item setup again, no need to add in that additional targeting, but you can, of course, add any other targeting you want. This will now enable you to run 30-second non-skips along with 15-second non-skips on your standard. For PG, please note that you still do need to have an exact match to your max duration on that proposal line item level. So what that means is for standards, you're able to run a non-skip having 15 seconds and 30 seconds within one line. For PG, you'll have to separate those out today. And lastly, reporting. For reporting usage, to break this out, you can use ad duration on both the historical reporting level and YouTube consolidated report. And then in addition, we do want to note that co-viewing is also available for living room content. As Mantoni has mentioned, many of you here have been in the beta thus far, so we wanted to highlight for those who aren't some of our most frequently asked questions. The first one is, what is pricing for 30-second non-skip? That does have a different price than your 15-second non-skip. This is now live on the rate card within our help center. You'll receive this deck and different resources at the end of this call as well, so we will share that out. How do I book in GAM? Similar to what I just said, you'll have that 480 by 360 along with your max duration allowed of up to 31 seconds. That allows you for a little bit of buffer in case some of those ads received are just over 30 seconds. We will be able to capture those. And again, for PG, please do remember that it has to be an exact match. Our dedicated CTV line items that explicitly target this inventory pool required. No, CTV devices don't need to be explicitly targeted. The ad request comes through only on CTV, so forecasting and surfing both know that that's the only area that it's eligible in. Are 100% SOV sponsorships supported for 30-second non-skip? Yes, sponsorships are fully supported. Please just remember to have multiple different line items set up. So you'll have 30-second non-skip as well as 15-second skip or non-skip. So that makes sure that you capture all different available inventory, or else you can see different standard line items come through. The last question here is, will live streaming be supported for monetization with 30-second non-skip? These function completely independent, and today they are not available. Now we're going to hop into AdPods. This has been a really great beta experience. We've had a lot of feedback, which has really helped us shape where we are today with the product. Some of the new updates that we're going to get into shortly is forecasting improvements, position targeting, as well as exclusive sponsorships. And high-level overview here for those who have not been in pods today. Podding experience for partner sales is a max of 2 impressions per pod on content that's 18 minutes and over. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Mantoni.
Yeah, thank you, Chelsea. When we think about pods as an experience perspective, we really do want to lean into when do we serve pods, right? When do podding, that experience really happens on YouTube? So pods is mainly serving on content, and it's serving on content 8 minutes or more. So remember that. So anytime you hear of the opportunity, and I say the value proposition here, there is an expectation. You should see additional inventory, but remember that's based on qualifying content as well, right? So 18 minutes or more is actually the key. One thing I would say here as a value prop, I really encourage driving more longer form content on the platform to really increase that inventory as well for the pods experience. Now, we do get questions around what formats are allowed. Combinations of skips, non-skips, and bumpers are allowed in podding. I will say there's one disallowed combination, and that is a skip to non-skip. Skippable ads in an ad pod remain skip to content. So if a user skips an ad, they skip all ads and go directly to the content today.
As we mentioned previously, one of the biggest asks we've had during the pod beta experience was exclusive sponsorships. This had opened up complexities within the partner sales experience trying to run sponsorships without having any leakage. We're happy to announce we now have this new toggle on the line item level for exclusivity on partner sold demand. So what that means is that today, once you set up a campaign that's at 100%, you can now mark it as exclusive. And no other inventory from partner sales will get in. You can hear I keep stating partner sales specifically. We do note that some publishers have had experiences where auction does leak through. So for those that have experienced that and would like to triple ensure that doesn't happen, please do still submit. The next thing we have here is position targeting. Now that partners are eligible to run in pods, you can also have position targeting. This will allow you to determine when within the pod your ad is serving, and you can use this on pre-roll, mid-roll, as well as post-roll. Just note that for targeting, as Mantoni had said, we can't do skip to non-skip. So if you do have targeting position 1 for a skippable ad, there is a chance that your pod will be dropped. And lastly, we have our YouTube consolidated reporting. As you can see, we have a few new metrics coming, as well as some updates and a few of those leaving us. So for the first one, we have partner unmatched ad request. The request is when a partner doesn't match. Partner's inventory does not match the ad request. This doesn't mean that the ad request completely went unfilled, as Google could still have the opportunity to fill it. We then have partner unfilled. This is at a pod level and is only incremented when the pod is completely unfilled. So if you have a pod request come through for 2 ads and you have 1 ad served, this will not count towards an unfilled pod, as 1 of 2 was filled. And we have the partner match rate. We then additionally, and I think most importantly, have an update to total ad requests. Previously, we had a disparity, especially when we had Google sold selling into pods and not having partner sales able to sell into it. There was a difference between total ad requests. Today, we're happy to announce that if you're within the pods ecosystem, you'll see a count as 2. So if you get a pod request with a max of 2, that will then increment 2 ad requests. And the 2 that are leaving are filled ad request and fill rate. Similarly to 30-second non-skips, we wanted to highlight some of the most frequently asked questions that we've received for those on pods so far. Which formats are included in pods? So we said before, all of them are eligible. The one thing to note here is so even if it gets requested for a pod, it'll just show that 30-second non-skip experience and then go right to your content. When are ads eligible to serve? They're for long form content, so it's on content that's 8 minutes and over. Are there any format combinations that are not allowed? Yes, the skip to non-skip is currently not allowed. And if you do, as we said previously, target skip to that first position, there is a chance that the pod could be dropped. Can Google sold and partner sold serve in one ad pod together? No, today we don't have mixing. So if your inventory only is able to fill one slot within the pod, that's all that will serve. A Google sold will not come within that pod. What are some additional ways a publisher can manage competitive exclusions in Ad Manager? Publishers today can utilize the competitive exclusions at the line item level. These are pod level exclusions. So it would ensure that, let's say, 2 competitors that you might have running don't serve back to back. And lastly, can you run the same creative in both positions in the same pod? No, these are chosen at the line item level. So if you have multiple different creatives, we do suggest separating them out. And I'm going to pass it over now back to Mantoni.
Thank you, Chelsea. As we really look at a few takeaways here, one I want to point out for ad pods, if you're currently not in that ad pods beta, we are rolling that out across the board over the next few weeks. So if you're interested, definitely let us know. But if you don't have that experience today, it's very likely that it's coming in the next week or 2 or 3. So I do want to point that out. From a next steps perspective, there's a ton of new resources and updates that we've added to our help center. These updates and these resources are really to help guide you on, 1, how can you unpack 30-second non-skips on Living Room? And then also, how do you lean into that new inventory that you very well will get with pods? So 1, really leverage what we have here and adopt and market many of these new features and products. I will say, look, what helps us more than anything is hearing your feedback. I appreciate all of the feedback you've shared throughout these 2 betas, but I hate to ask for more, but I want to hear more of how are these landing in market? What are some additional features or updates that could help, one, your sales team with really selling these, your ad ops team on really setup, execution? Let us know. We'd love to hear that feedback. And then lastly, from a what's next perspective, wildly enough, we're entering the second half of the year. And with that, we will have additional updates for both the podding experience and additional from a format perspective. What this means for you, and my ask would be is, one, what helps me more than anything is to be able to go to my PMs and show them these partners are leveraging this new format. They're leveraging this new feature. And there may be more opportunities if we unlock additional longer form formats, right? So our new podding experiences that allows even more ads in one pod. So my ask would just be definitely lean into the products, use them, encourage definitely feedback across your teams to share with us. And then we can definitely empower you more with products to come in the second half of the year and going into 2026. So thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to open it up for Q&A. So please do submit every and all questions that you might have for the 2 of us. Will sponsorship not run correctly if I traffic both format sizes in the same line? If this is for podding experience, is my guess, there is a chance that there would still be leakage. Now that we have the exclusive sponsorship toggle, you should be okay. But what I would say is that it would only pick one of those formats each time. So if you want all of the formats to run and are okay with the same creative running back to back, I would separate those out. Will forecasting with no CTV added work, or should we be targeting, or should targeting be added? If this is for a 30-second non-skip specifically, you no longer need to add CTV to both forecasting as well as targeting. Just do note that it takes about 28 days for the system to start recognizing that those ad requests are eligible for you. So in the beginning, when you do join, if you're not there, if you haven't joined already, it may take some time. So you can add that CTV targeting into your forecast to get a better understanding of the available inventory. And then just ensure that you remove it when you go to run that campaign. When will these betas be launched fully to all partners?
I love this question. I love a launch question. So the 30 seconds format on Living Room is now unlocked globally. It's no longer in beta. So what that means is, as long as you are, again, via Google Ad Manager, are set up there, you should be able to book this format. Again, I will say from a pod's perspective, if you're not live in that today, I believe most folks that are on the call are, we will get you into the podding experience. We're rolling that product out throughout the rest of this month and early Q3. So what that means is adoption is going to continue to happen. I'd say definitely probably by the end or midpoint of Q3, but both are pretty much out the door, and we love that from a product perspective.
Can you share what we should expect with pods in terms of changes to inventory and or delivery?
Love this question as well. The first change, I'd say, in terms of, I look at it in 2 ways. Inventory. I do want to refresh us on when does a pod actually even serve? And that is content that's coming on the platform 8 minutes or longer. So as I definitely say a goal would be unlock more longer form content onto the platform so you can see actually an increase in those opportunities here, right? So that's going to play a role in your inventory. So I'd say there should be an expectation, but a lot of this still depends on if it's very short form content. We're not serving pods, right? So you wouldn't see a drastic increase in that inventory. And in terms of delivery, right now, if we're turning on pods, and again, if we are driving more long-form content onto the platform, you should start seeing those opportunities reflected from a forecasting perspective as our forecasting system works. So again, as Chelsea pointed out, it's 28 days, the standard there. But as long as you're driving more content on the platform and utilizing, I'd say, booking that inventory, it should be available for delivery.
Will exclusive sponsorship feature remove all Google ads too? Today, the answer is no. Today, it only blocks partner sold inventory. So any of your standard lines that you might have that overlaps with your sponsorship targeting will not be eligible to fill. As for the Google Ads experience today, you will need to still submit those requests to the partner sales enablement team. Can the same ad appear twice in one pod? How to prevent it from happening? Yes, in theory, it could if you have two separate line items running. So I believe I shared this example earlier, but if you had a 30-second creative followed by a 15-second creative that were for the same ad, they can run back to back. So to prevent that, I would set up the exclusion, the competitive exclusion, so that doesn't happen. But if they are two different lines, or if you're okay with that, they will run back to back.
And we do recognize during the beta period for pods, many partners, to solve for the sponsorship use case, we set up these two line items with the same ad to complete your sponsorship. Again, as Chelsea walked through that exclusive feature, you shouldn't have to do that. You should be able to actually set your line items up and toggle that feature to support your sponsorship experience and lean into the support from our PSC team to turn off auction. So we do recognize this was a frequent use case partners did to work around the sponsorship challenge. So thank you for bearing with us as we drove a resolution there. Good question. Currently, I will say this, things definitely often change, and not to continue to say feedback, but definitely your feedback helps us with also determining some of these updates. There currently are some tests that we're doing. We don't have at the moment, yes, we're gonna be turning on podding for content less than 8 minutes on Living Room, but these things could change over time. I will say there are some specific tests that we're doing for short form content in general. So if you're interested, you believe you can benefit there, I definitely encourage you to share that feedback with your sales leads. If you are a music partner on the call as well, definitely let your sales lead know your questions around short form content, because we are thinking through some plans there for that and some podding experiences. So more to come, but short answer, no, but I wanted to give you the long answer since we got time together.
What has the viewer response been to pods? We've seen comments of users receiving the same ad pods back to back and feeling like more ads in general.
The response from pods, pods itself is, of course, it aligns with YouTube's overall podding experience. So YouTube Partner Sales is just a piece of that. I will say the response itself, we've seen positive response in terms of less user abandonment rates with the podding experiences. Before we make any changes to podding, YouTube always accounts and tests, what that experience looks like across the board outside of just partner sales. Also, typically, the way that this would work is if users are locked in on longer form content, they actually see less ad breaks over time because of the podding. So it also helps reducing the abandonment rates and driving retention. So we've seen positives there. In terms of the ads back to back, I believe this may be related to, I saw feedback throughout the beta for pods when partners did the workaround to support sponsorships and setting up the line items to serve the same ad twice to fill position 1 and 2. It did generate negative user feedback. As a user, I could completely understand as well. But again, you shouldn't have to do that setup anymore because of that exclusive sponsorship feature. However, like every product, I encourage you to test these things for us, give us feedback, let us know what's working, what's the experience, because that also helps us as we close these things out to greater global GA.
Can we use the frequency caps to separate ads in a pod? This is a great question. I am going to go ahead and say we'll definitely get back to the person who submitted this. I don't believe a frequency cap would separate out different ads in a pod.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that answer would be likely not. But definitely we can ask, and we love to know whoever submitted it as well. And we can get you direct feedback on the frequency caps. Which kind of premium inventory is eligible? So that is the one from premium, because all of your content we consider premium, right? But when we think about that living room experience, we're looking at what is that content 8 minutes or longer, one. And then I want to be sure, and when we're saying premium as well, just across the board, think about, again, ad pods only are serving on those longer form assets. So premium, and the way that we framed it here, is just longer form content. So again, pods is looking for longer form content. And then I think just some other best practices, now that the questions are flowing too, I just thought of a few things. Definitely take a look at what are some of those categories of content that do very well for you, and also what's doing well on the living room today for you. I definitely think also, let's think about ways we can package up inventory. When we're thinking about premium, I just, from a brand, how can we align these brands with some of that longer form content? How can we, you should be able to package it at a higher CPM. How could we lean into products and features like pod positioning? Could you give brands that first position in a pod and sell it at a higher rate? So premium inventory, we're thinking about longer form content here. And then what are some ways we can package up these tools to drive more dollars from your advertiser partners, and then also just drive more engagement from your users as well.
Great, thanks, Mantoni. I believe that was our last question for today. But please do utilize our support. If there are any burning questions that might have popped up after, please submit them to my team at our help center. And then additionally, if you have YouTube specific questions or interest in any of either of these betas that you might not be utilizing today or need to be added, such as the pods, please reach out to your YouTube SPM and we'd be happy to support. With that, we want to say thank you so much. And our feedback form is available via this QR code, as well as the form on the right.
So definitely go ahead, pull out your phone, pull it out, go ahead and just scan